Hi, this is Rick for EDU Mobile. Now we're going to have a class example in Swift in a playground with computed properties and some other things that we're going to look at. So I have a class here, clock, and I'm going to store hours, minutes, and seconds as stored properties. And we're going to declare them as private. We have private var hours, minutes, seconds. And I wanted to kind of talk about this private thing. We talked about it in the discussion on classes, but the access specifiers will be for the scope of the file in which they're defined, not to the class or struct or enum in which they exist. So in this case, we're going to see an example down below that we're able to access hours, minutes, and seconds outside the class. This is because we're coding within the same file. Typically, when we define a class, we define it in its own file, and the private keyword will be fine, and it will do what you expect. But in this case, it's going to be kind of an unexpected behavior. So I just wanted to kind of cover that before we get started. We've also got a description here, string, and the description is going to calculate. So the first thing we need to do, since we haven't defined hours, minutes, and seconds, we need to define them. So we need to provide an initializer. In this case, my init is with hours as an int, minutes as an int, and seconds as an int. And I just set self hours to hours, self minutes to minutes, self seconds to seconds, and my description to a clock. I have a reset. Hours is 0, minutes is 0, seconds is 0. This is a nice method to have to reset the clock. I have a tick function which increments seconds and then corrects hours, minutes, and seconds if seconds is greater than 59 or minutes is greater than 59 or if hours is greater than 23. If hours is greater than 23, we don't have to set everything to 0. We can just call reset. I have a time string as a string. This is actually our old friend the formatted string from C. We have a string method format hours, minutes, and seconds. So we really don't have any calculated properties here, but we've already seen that. So we're letting my clock equal a clock set to 3:59 and 57 seconds. And we get the string time here as 3:59:57. Then we tick and get the time just to see if we roll over correctly. So 3:59:59 rolls over to 4 and then 4:00:01 and we're all good. Now, if we try to set seconds outside the class, as I said again, normally this wouldn't work because the seconds or the clock class would be defined inside its own source file. But here we can because the private means only accessible within this source file. Again, I make a comment here. In a playground, it really doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But in the context of an app, it would. So now we can reset seconds to 35. We can do this in the context of a playground because we're within a single file. Good. Now let's look at another class here. This is a class I've called verbose. We have a number, which is an int, as 0, and we have property observers on our number. We have will set, which just strings out, hi, I was something, but now I'm something else. Notice the use of new value here in the will set property observer and old value in the did set property observer. So in this case, when we make an annoying number or an annoying, which is a verbose, we have no properties here other than number, which is a calculated property, not a stored property. So when we don't have any stored properties, we can use the default no argument initializer. So if we set annoying number to 15, we set it here, and it says, hi, I was 0, but now I'm 15. And then after did set, it says, hi, it's so much nicer to be 15 than it was to be 0. So this is an example of a calculated property that has a will set and did set observer on it. Thank you very much.